Sometimes you may hear people say, does anybody use the mail anymore or mail things anymore? Hi, I'm Kim Stevens here in the Fox 26 Newsroom. As we are getting ever so close to Christmas, the answer is probably still yes, because of those traditional Christmas cards. Or maybe you need to send something back that you ordered that might not fit well, but that's really, we're talking about mail, maybe a letter to someone, whether it's for business or for personal. People are still people sending out mail. And when we take a look at our generations, which generation really is sending out mail or surprisingly sending more mail than was previously assumed or thought? So let's bring in Laura Goldberg. She's the Chief Marketing Officer from Octane, who owns or runs stamps.com, to tell us about a new report that is out that specifically looks at Gen Z. Laura, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. So
first off, when we talk about Gen Z, we do need to say, what is that generation? And we know that that's between people born between 1997 and 2012. What did you find about these people?
So we at stamps.com, we put out a survey about mailing habits in general for consumers and businesses. And we had a wide swath of both. And we really wanted to see if what you said at the top, that mail is dead, was true or not. And, what we found is it's absolutely not. A third of Americans send mail for both business and personal reasons every week. And so people are still sending letters, sending packages, etc. But as you hinted, the thing that shocked me the most in this report was that nearly half, about 48% of that Gen Z group sent a letter or a package 1 to 2 times a month. I was like, are you kidding? Really? And I think it follows, interestingly, some other trends that we're seeing, that generation likes physical books, right? You see a resurgence in things like vinyl sales, right? Which I know from my own kids, they swap. I've been asked where one could buy a vinyl sleeve for mailing, right? And there's a high value on reusing goods and things like that. But it was really surprising.
It is. So does that mean then that the Postal Service should say, whew, this is a great trend to help us look into the future and know that mail is not dead?
I think there are probably some trends that, overall mailings are probably down a bit, but it's not going to die with the next generation, that they see real value in both the utility. And the other thing we really heard was the personal touch. It feels really personal to get a letter. It feels really personal to mail a shirt that you think someone might like, or a record that someone might like. And I think that generation puts high value on that sort of personal touch, and mail is a great way of saying you care.
I feel like just hearing this from you is making me feel a little bit better, because my oldest is in this generation, and I was going to send him something because mom wants to send her son something because he lives out of town. And I thought, oh, I didn't want to be one of those, I don't know, old people who was clearly out of touch because he wouldn't appreciate it. Now you're reminding me that maybe he would.
Exactly. It's that personal touch. And, there's value in that. I took the time to write you a note or, buy you this item, and I'm going to put it in the mail and send it to you. And it's nice. And whether it's a handwritten note with that, I'm way past that generation, and I open my mailbox every day. You never know what's going to be in there. Could be something interesting.
Yeah, we do that too, but I didn't know if we were just so old that we always go to the mailbox.
Funny.
Oh, wow. But what about business though, too? How are you seeing the way mail is going for business?
Right. And so I would say this is probably less surprising. Our stamps.com survey found that businesses still heavily rely on mail. Not all businesses, but think about law firms, doctors' offices, professional services, other businesses like that. They mail out all sorts of things that either are, a bill, which people like to keep physical copies for their records.
Sure.
Some people still don't pay bills online, right? You need to send a physical bill. You may send a plan. You may send an item that you purchased, right? Businesses are still using mail, and we feel pretty strongly it isn't going anywhere.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more about stamps.com because you're with Octane, who owns stamps.com. So help us better understand that.
So Octane is a global company that provides shipping and software to businesses and consumers who need to get goods from point A to point B. And we operate under a number of different brands. Stamps.com is one of those brands. Stamps has been here for over 25 years, and we are the leading provider of online postage and shipping solutions. Over 1 million customers have relied on us for their mailing and shipping needs. And we have customers both in the business and consumer side that are using us to easily print discounted postage and shipping labels to get their items from point A to point B.
Okay, so clearly you've been in this for a long time as a company, and you've had many years of knowing how people are choosing to interact with others when it comes to mail. So let's go again one more time about this recent survey that specifically talks about Gen Z, which, by the way, is the first generation to be entirely born in this 21st century. And even though they are described as digital natives, you're telling us they're still tactile people.
Exactly. Like we had talked about, almost half are still mailing something 1 to 2 times a month. Whether it's a handwritten note or sending a package, they are shipping goods or letters. And it was surprising. I think the biggest thing we found there, that really the two things was that personal touch that we discussed. And the other of the people who sent, about 37% said it offered security, right? So if you want to send something you maybe don't want out there on the internet, it felt security and reliability. I know it's going to get there, and I know the person I'm sending it to is going to see it. So really, really interesting and I think encouraging findings.
I think so too. Thank you very much for the info. Laura, I just want you to know, I saw somebody, a shadow behind me. It's our engineer who's fixing something. So I didn't want our viewers to think that there was anything nefarious going on behind me, because that was a little unsettling. But I really appreciate the information now about Gen Z and their getting a better idea of what kind of a generation this is, and also how it affects our mailing habits. And we may be seeing a whole lot more Christmas cards this year, you think?
Exactly. I hope so.
Okay. Hopefully you and I will receive some nice ones from our
Exactly.
Okay. Laura Goldberg from Octane, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.